I still remember the look on their faces, the whispers, the smirks, the judgment that hung in the air like poison. "Of course she's with him for the money," one woman said, loud enough for me to hear. "She came from nothing. What else could she possibly want?" That sentence, it stuck to me like glue. I wanted to scream, to defend myself, to make them see the truth. But sometimes silence is all you have left when no one wants to listen. My name is Lily, and this is the story of how I was labeled a gold digger, when in reality I was the one who paid the highest price. I didn't grow up with much. My parents worked 2 jobs each just to keep the lights on. We weren't poor in love, but money was always the monster under the bed. The kind of monster that makes your mom cry over bills, and your dad stare at an empty fridge. So I worked hard. I waitressed through college, studied at night, and dreamed of building a life that wasn't defined by survival. I wasn't looking for a rich man. I was looking for peace. And then I met Daniel. He walked into the diner one rainy Thursday, soaked to the bone, with a gentle smile and eyes that looked like they'd seen the world. He wasn't the type of man who flashed wealth. He was quiet, kind, and tired. I didn't know he owned half the city's construction firms. I didn't care. All I saw was a man who left a tip twice the bill and said, "You look like you deserve a better day." I smiled back. That's how it started. Daniel kept coming back. Same table. Same black coffee. Same stories about his childhood. How his mom used to pack his lunches with handwritten notes. He listened to me too. Really listened. When I told him about my degree, my student loans, my dreams of starting a nonprofit for underprivileged kids, he didn't judge me. He encouraged me. After 3 months, he asked me out. Not to a fancy restaurant, but to a bookstore cafe. We talked for hours about books, dreams, fears, and the things that make people break. It wasn't love at first sight. It was love built on understanding. But when people found out who Daniel was, everything changed. The whispers began. "You're so lucky," they said, but what they meant was, "You don't deserve him." His family looked at me like I clawed my way into their bloodline. Even my friends started pulling away. One of them, Melissa, laughed and said, "Girl, if I had your skills, I'd land a rich man too." It hurt, because I wasn't pretending. I loved him genuinely, deeply. I saw the man, not the money. But in the eyes of the world, that didn't matter. The worst moment came 6 months into our relationship. Daniel got sick. A strange illness that drained his energy and left him bedridden. The business suffered, the calls stopped, and the world that once adored him moved on. That's when people expected me to leave. They said, "Now we'll see her true colors." But I didn't leave. I stayed. I cooked for him, managed his medication, cleaned, worked double shifts to keep things afloat. I sold my jewelry to pay his hospital bills. I skipped meals so he could have better treatment. I became invisible, but I didn't care. Love isn't a transaction. It's sacrifice. Months passed. Slowly, Daniel recovered. But the rumors didn't. One night at a family dinner, his sister turned to me and said, "We know why you're really here. You're waiting for his inheritance." I froze. Daniel looked down, silent. He didn't defend me. That silence cut deeper than any insult ever could. I excused myself, walked outside, and cried in the rain, just like the night I met him. That's when I realized, maybe love isn't enough when the world refuses to believe in it. I thought about leaving, packing up, disappearing, saving myself from the humiliation. But then something unexpected happened. Daniel found the bank statements. He saw the bills I'd paid in his name, the loans I'd taken. He read every receipt, every proof of love I'd silently given. He came to me with tears in his eyes and said, "Lily, I didn't know. They called you a gold digger, but it was me who took everything from you." That moment changed everything. He gathered his family. He showed them the receipts, the hospital bills under my name. The silence in that room was deafening. His sister's face turned pale. No one spoke, but they didn't have to. For once they saw me, not the label. Months later, Daniel proposed. Not in a mansion, not on a yacht, but in the same diner where we first met. With a cheap ring and trembling hands, he said, "You deserve everything I have. And if you never take a single dollar, I'll still be the richest man alive, because of you." I said yes. Not because of the ring, but because of the journey. We married quietly. No luxury, no headlines, no guests who whispered behind napkins. Just us, a small group of friends, and the love that survived every accusation. Today we run that nonprofit together. The one I dreamed of. We help women who are judged, labeled, and misunderstood because I know exactly how that feels. People still talk sometimes. They always will. But I've learned something powerful. You don't owe anyone your truth. You just have to live it. If you've ever been judged for loving someone, remember this. People will always assume the worst when they can't understand your heart. They'll project their fears, their insecurities, their own broken stories onto yours. But your worth isn't determined by their words. It's measured by what you give when no one's watching. So before you believe what others say about you, pause and ask yourself what you know to be true. Because sometimes being called a gold digger only means you were brave enough to dig for something real love. They say time heals everything. But I've learned that some wounds don't disappear, they just stop bleeding. After everything that happened, the accusations, the pain, the endless whispers, life finally started to look peaceful again. Daniel and I were married, running the nonprofit together, and people finally seemed to see us for who we really were. But inside me, something had changed. Even when no one was watching, I could still feel those old words echoing in my chest. Gold digger. It was like a shadow that refused to leave, even when the sun was shining. I thought once the truth came out, I'd feel free. But freedom, it isn't just about what others believe. It's about what you believe about yourself. Sometimes I'd catch myself wondering, was I still trying to prove something? To them? Or to me? There's a part of you that breaks when you're judged for the wrong reasons. And that part doesn't rebuild easily. One afternoon, I was at our nonprofit center, helping a young woman named Anna. She was crying because her boyfriend's family had called her the same thing, a gold digger. She had met him while cleaning his family's offices. They said she was after money too. When she looked at me with those tired eyes, I saw myself years ago. A version of me that still wanted to scream, "I'm not what you think." So I sat beside her, took her hand, and said something I had never said out loud before. You can't control what people think of you. You can only control what you become despite it. Her tears slowed, and mine started, because in that moment I realized I wasn't just helping her heal. I was still healing too. Love is not always a fairy tale. It's not about proving your purity to the world. Sometimes love is about surviving the noise, the opinions, the assumptions, the cruelty of those who see only what they want to see. Daniel once told me, the only way to silence lies is to live a life that makes them irrelevant. I didn't understand it back then, but now I do. People think being judged is a one-time event, like a storm that passes. But it's not. It's a season that lingers. Even after the sun comes out, you still look at the clouds differently. But here's what I've learned. The same people who call you names today might need your kindness tomorrow. And when that moment comes, you'll have a choice to become like them or to be better. A few months ago, Daniel's sister, the one who had once accused me of chasing his inheritance, came to see me. She looked nervous, holding an envelope. Inside, there was a donation for our nonprofit and a handwritten note. It said, "I was wrong about you. I let fear and pride blind me. Thank you for loving my brother when none of us knew how." I cried reading that letter. Not because I needed her apology, but because it reminded me that change is possible, even in the hearts of those who once judged us. Now, when people ask if I'm still hurt by the things they said back then, I tell them this. Hurt doesn't vanish, but it transforms. It becomes understanding. It becomes compassion. And sometimes it becomes your purpose. Because if I hadn't been called a gold digger, I wouldn't be sitting across from women like Anna, helping them find their voices, their strength, their truth. Pain has a strange way of giving you what comfort never could. A reason to feel deeper, to love harder, to forgive faster. I no longer hide from the story. I tell it. Because shame loses power when you turn it into something that serves others. I share it to remind people. We all carry labels someone else gave us. But those labels only stick if we let them. You are not what people say when they don't know your heart. You are what you choose to keep doing when the world stops believing in you. Sometimes when I close the center at night, I walk to the window and watch the city lights. I think about the girl I used to be. The one crying in the rain, the one accused, the one invisible. If I could talk to her now, I'd whisper, They'll call you names, they'll doubt your heart, but one day, you'll understand that being misunderstood is not your curse. It's your calling. So if you've ever been mislabeled, judged, or misunderstood, please remember this. You don't need to prove your worth to the world. Just live in a way that reflects your truth, even if no one claps for it. Because sometimes the people who hurt you are just afraid of seeing what love really looks like: selfless, patient, real. And maybe, just maybe, your quiet strength will teach them what no argument ever could. Not all gold glitters. Some hearts shine brighter in the dark.